Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Radio LUMS. My name is Khadija Tahir and I'm your host for the LUMS Report. How is everyone doing? It's Wednesday right now at the time I'm recording this episode. I have a lot of work, but I am very glad to be in the studio recording this episode. The weather is finally getting better and it is very nice outside today. I had a lovely hour sitting outside in the sun and with the wind blowing. It was absolutely beautiful and a nice break. It is very important, as I always say, to take a break, check in with yourself, and just find time to relax and take a break. So we have some very exciting segments planned for today's episode. We are finally back with our segments rather than just the usual announcement episodes. For the first segment of the day, we were taking questions from our audience about life, LUMS life, and just life in general. And today I have two very special guests with me in the studio who will be answering all your questions. I have Ibrahim Arif, the editor, the English editor at Radio LUMS, and Zaki Ahmed, the sub-editor. Welcome, Ibrahim and Zaki.
Hello.
Hello, Khadija. I hope you're doing well.
Hello. So glad to have you both in the studio today. So I think let's just jump straight into the questions. Zaki, would you like to take the first one?
Yeah, of course. So there's this particular one that I'm liking, and it's from SDSB, coincidentally. It's asking us about the transfer scene from either SDSB to SSC, and it's mentioning the scope of MGS and a deep dive into its prospects, courses, career options, and so on. I like to take this one because being an ACF major, I have seen SDSB through and through. And a lot of my friends have transferred from either SSC to SDSB or HSS to SDSB. And considering that SDSB requires the highest merit, it's probably the easiest school to transfer out of, but not the easiest one to transfer into. So if you got into SDSB first, it's going to be pretty easy for you to get into SSC in your required major after that. And when it comes to MGS, personally, I feel like MGS has way more career options than ACF does because it's more about management, it's more about production, it's about decision making in its entirety. And in every single business role that you can think about, decision making is involved in a pretty deep way. So MGS kind of has a far more deeper career option and a perspective when you look back at it, at your undergrad degree, at the learning you get and all that stuff. So I feel like MGS is a pretty good degree that we can sort of follow.
I think the next question was actually a similar one but related to SSC. So Ibrahim, since you're in SSC, would you like to take that?
Yeah, to put some context, I'm an electrical engineering major, so this may not apply to all the majors in SSC perhaps because some are a bit more demanding compared to electrical engineering. But I think personally it takes a lot of discipline. I'm testing this out myself nowadays, and if you start your assignment from day one, as soon as it gets released, you're good to go. It's really easy. Plus, especially in the electrical engineering program, and I hope this goes for the other programs as well, as long as you do your assignments on time, your quizzes and your exams, you've already prepared for them pretty much. You don't need to do any extra readings or any extra research. All you have to do is those problem sets and you're pretty good to go. But honestly, we're LUMS students and not all of us can have that discipline. I mean, I myself don't. So perhaps check out how much percentage grade each assignment is. So, I have a course right now whose one assignment, which is worth 100 marks, only has 0.5% grade weightage in the total grade. So is there any harm in perhaps missing out on one or two assignments if there is another assignment due, which is perhaps more important and has more weightage? You have to do a cost-benefit analysis essentially.
That's a really fascinating, really good advice, I'd say. Starting an assignment from day one, and I've personally been trying to test that out since the very first day of first semester of LUMS.
It's actually a struggle. It's a huge struggle.
Yes, and as a senior, I can say I've only marginally been successful in trying to do that. And actually, no one asked this question, but since I'm from HSS, I feel like I should also, give some advice to the HSS people tuning in. So I am an econ pol major. And I'd say the one thing about HSS is that it allows you to take so many different courses. Like, we're not as strict about our cores and our electives, that it allows you to be very versatile. So I have friends who are econ majors, but they've taken so many SDSB courses. I have a friend who is also an econ major, but he has done a bio minor. And I personally am an econ pol major with a history minor. So I feel like in HSS you really do get the opportunity to experiment and find out what you like. So if you're someone from the junior batches who's tuning in, I'd tell you to take as many courses from as many different departments and schools as at LUMS, and just make use of the opportunities that we have here, and just find out what you like. This is the time to experiment. I feel like you don't need to have everything figured out in undergrad. I certainly didn't, and I certainly do not, and I am hopefully graduating at the end of this academic year. So I think let's take the next question.
So yeah, there's one that I'm really liking in this, and someone's been asking, so what are your favorite spots on campus to sort of hang out, cry, or just be around your friends, enjoy the weather? And I like this one because I didn't realize any of these in freshman year, but ever since soft fall has started, I found a lot more places. If you want to enjoy the weather, especially in March or in November right now with the sun out, go to the library lawn, get some oranges, get a bed sheet, and just lie down for hours. It's going to be the best feeling you're going to have. And if you're with your friends, go to PTC. A lot of people really look over that place, but the Pepsi Dining Center has a vibe of its own. When it's full to the brim, people are talking out loud, everything's happening. It's a really chill place to be around campus. And I wanted to ask this question from Khadija too. What are your favorite places to sort of just chill out on campus?
I feel like since the pandemic started, actually, when I was in my freshman year, so I am discovering a lot of LUMS now as a senior, that I am back on campus. But yeah, I agree with you. PDC is actually where I'd say I hung out with friends in PDC in my freshman year. Like, the last memory I have before COVID was the biryani we had on Thursday at PDC, and then the pandemic hit, and so it has some really good memories that I have are actually in PDC, and we do still eat lunch every day in PDC as well. We actually have a group chat titled Lunch at PDC, so that's how much I love PDC.
Oh.
And other than that, I think, yeah, I agree, the library lawn is absolutely beautiful. I feel like it has those circular windows, which is like, the tradition to have a picture taken there, and I just got it after 4 years at LUMS. And other than that, I think football field, I don't know, is it a good place?
I feel like that's kind of a questionable choice.
A very questionable
considering the
choice.
time of the day.
Yes.
It really depends, because sometimes when the lights are off, you see a really starry sky. Which
Yes,
is
that's
lovely.
true.
And then, the STSP building in the sports complex and the
Mhm.
afar, it feels really surreal.
And beyond those, do you guys know about the corridors in HSS? So when you're exiting the central courtyard and when you're entering it from all the sides, there are these paintings on the walls. And there's this sort of engravement into the sidewalks where you can sit down.
There's like
There's
a built-in
benches.
bench.
Yeah, and the
stone
kittens and
bench.
cats, all of them live there.
Yes.
That place is beautiful when the sun's out. It's
It is
beautiful.
a wonderful place to, sit and study, especially because it's hidden. No one really looks there when they're passing by. So if you want to avoid people, it's a good place to, just blend in to the wall and just get some work done. Other than that, crying spots, what would you guys say? Are there any good crying spots on campus?
So there's this small space right next to each HSS entrance, which is behind the door. No one looks there. You can easily just silently cry there. It's pretty...
I am definitely not noting this down for future reference.
Like between the namaz place, are you talking
No,
about?
no. I'm talking about, the open HSS entrance where the staircase
Yeah.
enters into HSS.
Ha.
If you, there are metal doors, right?
Yes.
Which are closed by night. Behind those, there's this small space where there's space for just one person,
Yes.
barely. You can sit there and literally no one will even notice that you're there.
Hopefully.
It's-
That's true.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I've experimented it. That's why I know. It's pretty safe.
So it's a
space.
tried and tested
Yes,
spot.
exactly.
That's good. Let's move on to the next question. I think it was how to balance social life and studies. Oh, actually, let's take this one. It says, is it worth compromising a bit of on academics to hang out with friends? So, what do you guys think?
It's a very interesting question, and I would answer this with another question. That after you graduate from LUMS, you know, your GPA will be with you alongside, and it'll help you get perhaps job or grad school apps. But your friends are gonna move on, so you have to see what your priority essentially is. And another thing that I would say is, I got this advice from a senior, very important. I was in a theater play, and one of the actors was a senior, and she recommended me to pop the LUMS bubble as soon as possible before graduation.
I feel like that's pretty solid advice. I feel like I differ from you two because I'm a very YOLO person when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'll study for like an hour before the test, hoping I'll do great or I'll just fail. Who cares? But if it comes to hang out with my friends, I feel like this is something that I'm always going to remember even after LUMS ends. Blowing off quizzes just to sit in PDC, just to have the one last cup of chai kathe, all of that kind of stuff. That's my kind of thing. And frankly, in my opinion, I think it is absolutely worth it. Don't let your academics go. But friends are important. Go out, have fun, have a social life. The university experience is useless if you're not sort of, compromising or trading off every once in a while.
Yeah.
Honestly, the kick that you get from, treading so dangerously close to failure is just it's worth it, honestly.
I agree. Actually, I'd like to bring this question back to you. What did your senior mean by the LUMS bubble?
I've been thinking about this, and I genuinely don't know what they mean by it. I guess, because here's the fact that we're here for only 4 years. We're not going to be here, it's not like middle school that we're going to be here for 8 or 10 years. We're only here for 4 years. It's a temporary place. And then we're all going to move on to different jobs in different places. So perhaps by the LUMS bubble, I guess she means that don't have everything here, because the real life outside of LUMS is gonna hit.
But to play devil's advocate, I feel like the LUMS bubble is more about the experiences you have in LUMS. How many times have you gotten up in the morning, come to campus till the evening, and everywhere you look, there's something different going on. Someone's going to be playing music, someone's going to be reading, someone's going to be studying, someone's going to be out doing God knows what, right? And I feel like that's what the LUMS bubble means. When you're in a bubble, the best thing you can do is keep circling the edges. Kahin na kahin say it's going to burst, right? And I feel like the LUMS bubble, what it means really is to just explore every part of this campus, every aspect of your own self, because it's every friend group I've been with and everything I've done here. It's a different experience every time. I get to learn something new about myself, I can say, every single day on campus. And Khadija, what do you think the LUMS bubble means for you?
This is actually a really bad question for me because I am known as the person who will ditch her friends for either sleep or my academics. Those are my two priorities. And no, but I actually have made an effort because I am a day scholar, so I have the woe of commuting an hour every day, so I like to get back home as soon as possible. But this semester and this year especially, I've been making quite a bit of effort and as much as I can to hang out with the friends that I have, and just doing different things on campus or planning lunch outside of campus. And I think that's very important to me, just sitting with them or just hanging out. And I'm not as brave as Zaki skipping quizzes. I don't think I've ever skipped. I barely skip my classes, even as a senior. But yeah, I think it is very, very important to It's very difficult, I'd say, to find a balance. But it's also like hanging out with your friends is, I'd say, my cure for a very bad mental health day, I'd say. Like, I sit with them and suddenly I'm feeling okay, I'm laughing, I'm not worried about the thousand things that I have to do. It's
Yeah.
a bit of time to de-stress as well. But I think it's everyone has a different kind of balance, and it depends on each person, and it
It's
varies
really up
with
to
each
everyone's
person.
preferences.
That's true as
honestly.
well. Let's take another question.
Let's talk about the how can Radio LUMS help us question in grad school applications and career wise. I think this is an interesting question, and I'm gonna first answer this generally, and you guys can pitch in if you want with your own experiences, obviously. But through my experience, honestly, as a team member, when I'm assuming that they mean whether you can write this stuff in your CV or not. And if you're a team member in the majority of societies, it's not really gonna work out. But for content creating societies like ours, Radio LUMS, if you're a team member and you're creating content, that is like essential experience that you're getting. You're creating content, you're building a portfolio which you can show to people that this is what I do in Radio LUMS or whichever society you're working for. And apart from that, I think you reap more from societies once you get more and more up in the hierarchy, such that you get more responsibility and leadership, positions. Not only is it obviously a learning experience, that's always going to be a learning experience no matter what position you're in. It's really like it's an accolade to have, honestly.
And yeah, considering that grad school, now I'm a sophomore, and while I admit that I don't know much about grad school, but considering the courses that we have here at LUMS and considering the programs that I've studied in, it really it wants you to think. Every single course that I've taken and every single program I've been in, it wants you to think deeper about things that you're studying. It's not just surface level, all of that kind of stuff. And especially in some place like grad school, a professional environment, you get to delve deeper into every single topic. And the way Radio LUMS has helped me in the past 10 minutes that we've been talking, this has been completely impromptu for all of us. We didn't prepare any of these answers, but we just got into the flow, right? We kept thinking deeper about the questions, we kept thinking deeper about our answers, and it's just one skill that I feel like is going to help a lot of people when it comes to grad school.
I think, I agree with both of you. For me personally, the reason I picked Radio LUMS, and I also work for a podcast as well, is because it's an extracurricular that's completely different from my academics.
Yeah.
And something I do it because I enjoy it. I have added it to my CV, but I've never thought of it as something that would get me ahead in grad school or career opportunities, but it has in some ways. So I had an internship interview actually over the summer. I didn't end up getting the internship, but the interview was very fun because I was in conversation with the marketing head and the entire marketing team of a company. And when she found out that I was in Radio LUMS, she asked me to do an impromptu radio show on the interview.
Wow.
And it was such an interesting experience because it looked like she had some experience in radios or podcasts as well. But yeah, it was, even though I didn't get the internship, the experience was really fun because it just completely separate from the technical questions about what you do, what your skills are, etc. And it's just like an impromptu radio show that I had to do, and it was really fun. So I'd say even when picking extracurriculars, I know there are a lot of questions on LDF as well, and people are always asking which society would look good on on your CVs, or which skills you can acquire at LUMS to get you ahead in life. I'd say do pick something that you actually enjoy doing as well, because that's very important. We're already getting a degree. I think that is quite
Exactly.
enough for getting us ahead. But pick something that you enjoy, and it'll just automatically translate into good results, as well as I'm hoping it does for me too. At the end of the day, it could just be like a plan C career opportunity. I become a podcast bro and have my own podcast. Make sure you all tune into that as well.
Lastly, I'd add to that personally, as someone who is in the executive council of Radio LUMS, I would encourage you, if you're in Radio LUMS yourself, when the applications open, go for the leadership positions, because it's an extremely important experience, and even grad school or all the industry companies, they're looking for leaders, they're looking for initiative, they're looking for responsibility. And as someone who is leading a group of 25 people, it's pretty huge responsibility, and it's a very good experience to have, and a very important experience. So I would strongly recommend that whatever society you join, even whether it's Radio LUMS or not, go for this leadership position always.
I think that's it for our questions of the day. This was a very, very fun session to do. I always love having guests on the show because I feel like it truly breaks up the monotony. And I had two very lovely people today and two of my team members, so it was even more fun. I think with that, we come to the end of this week's LUMS Report. Thank you for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to host this show, and I would love to hear from you all. Or if you have any more questions, do keep sending them in. Be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages, as well as our YouTube channel and the podcast channels of Radio LUMS. Stay tuned to Radio LUMS. I'm Khadija Tahir, your host for the LUMS Report, and I'll be back next week with your weekly LUMS Report. Allah Hafiz.